Hi everyone, I'm Glenn Flair from Boardgames and Bourbon. Right now I'm going to talk to you about a game that's coming out, and that is called Planecrafters by Paisley Board Game Company. It is for 2 to 4 players, it says in the box. It plays in under an hour. That is true. It says it's 9 and above, and I think that's accurate. And to cut to the chase, this is one of the few games I've brought to my board game company where people have wanted to play it many times in a row. And what makes it so good is that it is a game that is easy to understand. It plays quickly, has many paths to victory, and no matter what you choose, there's always a high rate of player interaction in interesting ways. So let me discuss the game as I'm showing you how to play it. All right, everyone, this is a game that I've set up here for 2 people to play Planecrafters. Now, as we go through this, I'm going to talk about some of the good qualities of the game, how to set it up, and how well it's balanced and how things interact. Okay, so right now, whenever you play the game, you set up this little area of workers. You have 2 of these bottom workers down here. They only cost 4 points, and in the game you have currency you spend on things. Then it's going to move up to a second tier workers that are 7, and then a more powerful group of workers that go like 10, 12 and up. They go up like that. Now everyone starts with 5 points whenever you play, but kind of like in Star Realms and stuff like that, they balance the game so the first player's advantage is taken away. So the first player is going to get 3 cards. And what do you want with these cards? Well, these cards here are parts of a plane. Okay, and whenever you build a plane, like let's say here I have this card, and let's turn it this way so we can actually read it. It says this is a left wing of a paladin, and can I get my camera to focus on that? Left wing of a paladin. Whereas, ooh, nice, I also got the right wing of the paladin, so I'm already on my way to building a plane. However, I also got this thing called a left wing of a supernova. Okay, so the left wing of supernova. So that's a different airplane I'm trying to build, and what I'm trying to do in my turn is I want to do a few things with the goal of building planes, selling them, getting money, and when the deck of cards runs out, having the most points at the end. Now, depending on who I am, I can either win points by having the most planes, the most expensive plane, by having the most expensive workforce. That's a bonus point at the end of the game too. I could also be the person who has sold the most incomplete planes, or in other words, sold the most parts of planes. How do I do that? I can actually do that in many ways too. I can get an employee like the contractor here that'll help me sell parts of planes. This says you may sell an incomplete plane. So I can do that and start generating money right away, which lets me have money to buy better and better workers. I might have a worker who lets me grab extra parts. Like let's say that would be the technician. And he lets me get extra parts. There's another person who lets me put down extra cards when I build. Now, all of this is starting to give us different ways to do different paths to victory. There's also people in here that instead of building one airplane at a time, which normally is the rule, you can build multiple planes at the same time. So now you might be turning in parts, and maybe if you had the synergy of the card that says you can turn in partial planes, you're really crushing it, okay? Now, what are the overall rules in the game? Well, at least my demo kit came with this little instruction booklet. It shows what all the parts are to a plane that you're trying to sell, and there's up to 5 parts in a plane. There's a front, 2 wings, a back, and a center. You don't need the center, but it'll give you bonus points because the more parts of a similar plane you have, the higher the plane is worth. If it's kind of a motley crew, a hodgepodge of parts, and you're playing just to get out the door, you don't score as many points, and the points are actually pretty easy, and they're broken down inside of here, and they tell you what they're worth. Okay, actually it says right here. So if you sell a plane that only has 1 part of a model, so we can get that camera on it, you'll get 1 crown. That's the currency in the game. If you have a plane that has 2 similar parts, from the same plane, you get 3 parts, you get 6, 4 parts, you get 10, 5 parts, you get 15. That's awesome. There's also spare parts in there that, you can pretty much use for anything that you might get. That is awesome. If you get stuck with a plane that you don't want to build, you can actually dump it and start over brand new. There's so many ways to get around playing in here. Now, I was telling you, as you're, buying these workers, they can actually mess up other workers too. And that's usually the level 2 people that are in here. For example, there's one called the thief here. If you get this thief, and let's see if I can pull this without destroying it. Okay, this one says here, if you get the thief, it would have cost you 8 crowns. You would steal 1 park card from another person's hand or factory, something like that. But then what you can do is you can get people who will actually interfere and prevent that. And let's see who it is. That's the thief. You're probably going to get the guard. Let's see if we can get that one there. Give my one hand of power, pick up the deck. And it says here, your cards are protected from the actions of others. Okay, so this person here who spent 8 points could steal from me. That requires me to spend 6 points to block them. So you might think, oh man, that poor person, they're out 8 coins. The card, at least against this one other player, is blocked, but not so. Because even in a 2-player game, there's also a win condition for having the most expensive workforce. So that person spent 8. So they're actually going to be ahead of you, even though they've counteracted each other. So there is also an emphasis on taking positive steps, being proactive towards building your game. Now, I was telling you too that there's these awards that are happening at the end. The way the end condition of the game works is whatever money you have, in this case, let's just say I have 5 crowns here, okay, is going to be added to one of these goals. The goals in the game are pretty easy. You have the distinction award is given to the player with the most valuable plane. So if you can get a 15-point plane, man, you've really done it. I think the most valuable plane I saw him play was 12 points. Okay, that's pretty great. So you might try to win the game because this is going to give you 8 bonus points at the end. That's pretty significant. And you could just sell and really work your tail off to get that one plane. You might also here given to the player with the most parts sold. So again, that would synergize with the person who lets you sell partial planes or the person who lets you build and sell 2 planes at a time. That's 8 points as well. You can also go here. This is the Enterprise Award for having the most invaluable employee pool, which essentially means having the most workers and X, Y, and Z. Okay, so all those come into effect. Now, what are the actual play order of the game? It's right here. When you start the game, you hire, and you can hire 1 person, so you're paying for that person. 2, you get to acquire. You draw 2 cards, okay, towards your hand limit of 5, okay, unless you have something that extends it, which you can do, and you're trying to build your thing. Flyer, now you can play 2 cards down to build your airplane, or more if you get that card, which is great, and then you can sell it or sell it incompletely, depending on your people. Every phase of the game can be manipulated, and I love that. And even more, the iconography and the cards tell you when they come in. If you look at these cards and you're not sure what phase happens, look at that. That right there in the corner is a little bit of the back of a plane. What does that matter? Well, that person who lets you replace, that's going to come in on the plane part of the card, the acquire. The symbols here matches that card. The symbols on the cards, let me give another example, are going to tell you, like I'm going to look at the contractor here. And by the way, look at this great art. This art is Rocketeer movie artwork. It is awesome. It is of the time period. It's of that kind of silver age of sleek bullet design and stuff like that. Here you see it has a few shekels in the corner there, and it's telling you that's when this guy comes out and lets you make money. So every aspect of this game has really been thought about. The beginning player balance. So the first player will get 3, the second player gets 4, the next person gets 5. Okay, so it totally works its way around, and that way it kind of reminds me too of what's that Friedman Freeze game where you're building a power grid. It kind of has that balance in there. So the Star Realms kind of has it. Then you have this player pool. That's kind of like Valeria. I love Valeria Card Kingdoms, and you see it in Magicaro, and now you see it in Space Base too. It's a really good thing. The cards all interact with each other. They have counterpoints that you can work against. But even if you do that, the person who was proactive also has a benefit. You're never without something to do. Your efforts to move forward in the game are never blocked, and there are many, many paths to victory, which really is great. That makes this game a winner. I cannot recommend it enough. All right, so that was Planecrafters, and now after you've been playing it, you can see kind of where the fun of it comes from, right? It's kind of like one of those European games where there's not a lot of direct conflict, but you're doing things that have implications. You are playing cards to kind of go after the other person or go after everyone. There's kind of that Valeria Machikuro feel in there too in a way, but also kind of reminds me of a game called The Builders, so there's a lot of positive stuff. There's a lot of elements that people really like in games, and I liked in games, and my groups liked in games. So just some quick scores, because why not? The art, I love it. That Rocketeer stuff is fantastic. 8 out of 10. I think it fits the game well without being overdone. The decisions in the game, whether what planes are you going to go for, when are you going to sell it, what is your method? Are you trying to go for money? Are you trying to go for the end conditions? Those kind of things. Are you going to go after someone? Are you going to keep hunker down on low-level employees? Are you going to move up the chain and try to get the powerful ones? 8 out of 10 on those decisions. Also, the graphic art is really great. The choices with the iconography and telling you when the cards are played, I love it. 8 out of 10. The interaction, again, I really adore it. Why not give it another 8 out of 10? I got to tell you, this is a game that on game night, people working said, man, I'm getting this as soon as I can. So that is a great testimony. Okay, that is Planecrafters. Check this out, and I encourage you to actually get it. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.